when I ran for the Woodlands Board last year. And the politics here are essentially on the question of incorporation. They say, well, are you for incorporation or are you against incorporation? Yeah. It's kind of like me asking you, have you stopped beating your wife? Right? If you say yes, I've stopped beating my wife, that means you used to do it. And if you say no, then that means you're continuing to do it. The question itself is not a great question. And when you, in the final analysis, when you ask the question, are you for the Woodlands Incorporated or are you not? And this might be getting into, territory that you might not be very familiar with, but I can tell you in the Woodlands, that's what determined last year who was getting elected. And actually, to be honest with you, what happened last year is I had people approach me and they said, if you'll say what you need to say, if you say yes to incorporation, I will be backed by a state representative. I'll be backed by several people who are on the Woodlands Board already. I'll have money and people behind me. I opted to take the path of what's actually factual, what's accurate, rather than just what's politically convenient.
Right. Yeah. No. I realized I originally misinterpreted the statement on your website. That definitely does make sense. So I guess what is your current philosophy about incorporation before we delve into the specifics? Are you in between? Are you waiting until you take office to make that decision?
No, it's incorporation is really a value proposition about what you really want. So I have a daughter close to your age, and she wanted to get a car, and it was worth spending an extra $300 for a particular fender because of the look, right? So to her, it was worth paying $300 extra for this particular look. For you, it might not be, or you might want to pay $1,000 for another look. That is how you value it. And so with incorporation, it really comes down to how you value it. And that's the problem that I have in our community, because it's either you are for it or you're against it, and there's nothing in between, which the reality is everything is in between. And the arguments that are being made in our community, and I can tell you because I spoke with just about everybody who's anybody in our community with regard to it, and they're either trying to make arguments for or against, and there was nothing in between. And then when you look at what's actually happened, it's precisely what I said it was, and that's where it is. So as far as my position, I haven't really taken a hard position on either way, because it really doesn't even matter what I want, because the only thing that we can do on the board is I'm one of 6 other people. And the only thing we can do is say, hey, let's put this on the ballot to be voted on by the residents, by people who are eligible to vote. That's it. And what I think we need to do is educate people, because there's been so much misinformation about what it actually is, that I can tell you what the facts are. The facts are, we just found out. I was on with the executives of the Woodlands yesterday, and I found out that it will be I said this last year, there'll be a tax increase, and people who are for it said, there's not going to be a tax increase. How can you say that? Well, it's just the facts. And now we have the incorporation study by Novak Consulting that says exactly how much that's going to be. And the executives at the Woodlands Township has calculated that out. So if you own a home at $500,000, it's going to be $311 tax increase. So factually, the question is, for those who are listening, who are in the Woodlands, who are going to be interested in this, because this is information they haven't heard before, is that worth it to you? And then there's just a matter of discussion of the pros and cons and whether that's worth it to you. So really what I think about it doesn't really matter. To be honest with you, I will give everybody who's out there who's a voter the opportunity to vote on it for November 2022, provided we've had a discussion and town halls and things like that. And this right here, where we have the opportunity to get information out to people so that they really understand what's going on.